to the starting lineup, ladies and gentlemen. It's not Bugs Bunny, it's not Pink Panther on Saturday morning, but it's the legend from the Paul Feinbaum Show. And right here on the starting lineup, we are blowing it up every Saturday morning at 10:30 a.m. from now all the way to the national championship game. We are 62 days, yes, ladies and gentlemen, a 6 and a 2 away from college football. I'm spitting. Are you ready? Are you ready for the starting lineup? Nobody does it better than these two guys. Get ready for the Golden Boys of Birmingham Sports. Tony Curry and Keefer coming at you now. Get ready. I'm crazy, ladies and gentlemen. College football, 62 days away.
Now that is the way I like to be introduced.
Absolutely.
The starting lineup. Welcome back to another Saturday morning along with Keefer. I'm Tony Curry. Today we are 10 weeks away from our first SEC on ABC matchup. You know what that matchup is? That'd be the Aflac game.
It's Syracuse and Tennessee, right here on ABC 3340, followed by Alabama, Florida State.
It is. And then I believe the third weekend of the season, we have Wisconsin at Alabama.
Yep.
So we got some great games going on. But that first in the Aflac kickoff there in Atlanta, 10 weeks from today. Of course, the NFL right around the corner as well. So we're looking forward to that. It's going to be an unbelievable season.
I don't want to talk about, I said it last week on the show, I don't want to talk about courtrooms or judges or settlements or NIL or any of that stuff. Let's tee it up and play some football.
It's the reason why the lawyers make all the money. Let them take care of all that stuff. We just want to watch the winners and losers on the football field.
See those guys run out of the tunnel.
A lot going on with playoffs. Of course, the NBA, that was happening all this past week. And, of course, we also crowned a Stanley Cup winner, despite the fact the Stanley Cup was damaged by the Florida Panthers. They go back-to-back. Your thoughts on the Annie Show real quick.
Well, you know, the Florida Panthers, props to them, 2 in a row. Tough go to win back-to-back. I think an interesting fact to consider is that since 1993, there have been 4 Stanley Cups won by the 2 teams in Florida. In that time span, there have been 0 cups won by the 7 teams in the whole nation of Canada.
That's amazing.
So the Florida dominates. The Florida Panthers, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the cup has resided in Florida a lot. And, Tony, it got a little bit out of hand, the celebration after the game. Those guys went all night and were still partying in some quarters of Fort Lauderdale in the early morning and afternoon hours. And the guys that it's their job, that they travel with the Stanley Cup, they noticed that it had been dropped or bashed into things. It's got 2 places where it's damaged now, so they've got to go through this big renovation. The Panthers get a little bit testy with a 131-year-old trophy.
Another reason why Canada should be our 51st state when it comes to that. And second of all, you know, it's so funny because I think there was a Saturday Night Live bit about the Stanley Cup. If you're lucky enough to get close to that thing or even kiss that thing, you're probably going to walk away with a canker sore, syphilis of the lip or something, because that thing has been lathered up in so many different ways. For it to be damaged, it's not the first time for it to be damaged. It certainly won't be the last time. Tom Brady, for gosh sakes, is throwing Super Bowl trophies from boat to boat. So those things happen. They'll figure it out, but it is by far the best trophy.
It's really a cool tradition. Every player, every staff member, they get 1 day with the cup during the summer. So the cup, it goes through all kinds. It's been the Atlantic Ocean. It's been in everybody's pool. They've drunk and served food out of the top of the bowl. The bowl is what's cracked right now. They've got to fix it after the Panthers' raucous celebration. But that is such an interesting tradition, and I'll tell you, you see those guys hold that up. It's bigger than the biggest lamp. I mean,
it is 3 feet and 37 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, so you do the math on that thing. 3 feet and 37 pounds. I always thought drinking milk after the Indianapolis 500 was interesting. That is certainly one of the greatest prospects in all of sports for sure, is, of course, that trophy. We don't talk a lot about a WNBA, but we need to, because Caitlin Clark obviously is having just an unbelievable season. One of the teams she took on last week ended a 10-game winning season, and she's been getting banged up quite a bit. You wanted to have a take on this real quick before we do a little contest here, but what's your thoughts on Caitlin Clark and how the WNBA and its players are treating her?
Yeah, you know, it's really kind of puzzling because she was out for several games with a quadricep injury. She came back against the New York Liberty, the champions of the league, this past weekend, and it was one of the highest rated games ever on TV. Ratings when she was out were down 55% on their broadcast. She is the face of the league. She's who everybody tunes in to watch. And there's such resentment with the other players, and you don't want to, typecast and stereotype. But, you've had superstars on the men's side of things, and they don't get quite. I mean, of course, they face a lot of challenges, and there's some resentment, but it's just so out in the open here. Mm-hmm. Half of the flagrant fouls called this year in the WNBA have been committed against her.
Yep.
She in the second game of being back against the Connecticut Sun, she was poked in the eye on a play that everybody who's watched the play has said there was no attempt to get the ball. This was a shot to her face. And then later on in the game, she was literally shoved to the ground, causing another flagrant foul. Today, the WNBA commissioner is supposed to make a ruling on whether or not those players are going to be suspended. But they've got to do something because
she's the cash cow. I mean, I think about Cam Newton in the National Football League, how he used to walk across the line until one fateful day in November, when I forget who it was, the defender just absolutely knocked him to the ground, took the penalty, but he never did it again. As a matter of fact, he never played the same after that hit. Patrick Mahomes is a quarterback who's the face of the NFL. He's one of the most important players for the National Football League. He needs to be protected. I get that. Tom Brady was protected for years. Caitlin Clark, I think it's great they're beating her up. She's hitting it from the logo. She's in their face. She's making 34 feet first. I mean, and I get that. And she's going to catch the wrath of every other basketball player. But they need to remember a couple things. First of all, everyone's getting pay increases because of Caitlin Clark. And second of all, you can beat the hell out of her, but you better not take her out, because the WNBA is not going to be happy to have their star player taken out for any reason.
Well, and to her credit, she doesn't call press conferences, and she's not, whining and moaning about how she's being treated. She kind of just is accepting the fact that that this is another challenge she has to overcome to be a superstar. But good grief, she's the cash cow.
Yep.
I mean, and the league has got to protect their most valuable asset at this point. And it's just a shame that others resent her success, because like you just said, they're the ones who are benefiting from
Absolutely. They need to protect her, put a cage around her, do whatever it takes to make sure Caitlin Clark continues to play. We've got just a couple minutes here in our first segment. I know you want to do a game real quick. We got the legend on the way.
We
got the
can
case.
continue it. I thought it might be fun today.
Yeah.
I'm calling it buy or sell.
I'm in.
Because I'm so anxious to talk about college football. I thought this is a good way to do it.
Yeah, we'll be doing this every single week too. So I'll have some questions for you next week.
Well, I'm going to ask you a couple buy or sell questions real quick, and then we'll finish up here when we get toward the end of the show. But I was absolutely shocked today because I was preparing for our K4 podcast, and we'll tell you all about that in sponsors here in just a few minutes. K4, of course, is Tony and Curry. It's Curry, Keefer, Kip, and Kai, the 4 Ks.
Even we get confused.
And we give you our take every week on our podcast. But it came up this week that I was looking at the future odds for this season for the Heisman Trophy. And Tony, I was absolutely shocked. Arch Manning is the favorite right now in Las Vegas. Are you buying or selling Arch Manning's going to win the Heisman Trophy?
I'm selling it all day long right now. I'm loving and buying the name. Manning's got a brand. It's unbelievable. Peyton now's producing everything, including movies. He's done it all. He's fantastic. But I'm selling that name. And really, if you're going to be talking about Arch too, he probably should take a playbook there from Shedeur Sanders, who, by the way, just blew past a 60-mile-an-hour speed limit. And everyone's like, what's the deal? He doesn't have any respect for the National Football League. Why is he going 5th? I mean, what's going on? Is this his dad? No, it's because he does dumb crap like drive 101 miles an hour in a 60-mile-an-hour zone is what it is. But, yeah, I think I'd be selling that right now.
Yeah, well, it's funny because Archie Manning, his grandfather, one of the greatest college football players ever, did not win the Heisman. He was the runner-up in 1970. Do you remember who won that one?
That would be
give it to me. Quarterback.
Spurrier.
Jim Plunkett.
Jim Plunkett.
From Stanford. And then, of course, Archie's son, Peyton Manning at Tennessee, did not win the Heisman Trophy. He was the runner-up.
He was a runner-up.
To Woodson, the defensive back from Michigan, which is still one of the most biggest highway robberies in the history of sports. So the Manning legacy, you would think, I think a lot of people off the bat would say, yeah, well, Peyton and Archie won it. Well, no, they didn't. They were both denied.
Well, we certainly get the brand going for him. And we get the brand going here, too, in the starting lineup. The legend's going to come up. Thank you for him opening up the show here. And also, we're going to go out to the desert and get some plays. Keefer wins. We'll have some more details on that right here on the starting lineup.
The Birmingham Racecourse Casino, where a spin could turn dreams into reality. Meet Sammy F., who just won over $70,000. And Orlando P. hitting the jackpot with a whopping $100,000. Feel the thrill of winning and join the dance of champions.
Woo! I'm a winner! I'm a winner! Woo! I'm a winner! I'm a winner! Woo! And you can be a winner too!
Your chance to be the next big winner is here at the Birmingham Racecourse Casino.
Oh, welcome to the Legend Cave. I'm the legend from the Paul Feinbaum Show, and I am honored to have the great Tony Curry and the great Keefer, the two golden boys of sports radio and television here in Birmingham, here in the cave with me, and we are answering the tough question, does Alabama have challengers to the SEC crown? Tony, let me start with you. Texas. Are they a challenger? Yes, I'll go ahead and answer that.
I knew you would. Yes, I'll say yes. I'll say yes, they're a challenge, yes.
All right, you got it. Do you think they're a challenger for the national title?
I do not.
Okay, here's what I think. I think Texas is the Ohio State of this season, and they're a serious contender. I hate to disagree with the great Curry, but let me go over here to the great Keefer. Keefer, let's get it down to the bone, to the bone, to the dog bone. The Georgia Bulldogs, are they a threat in the SEC, and are they a threat to the national title?
This might be a little bit of a reload year for Georgia. I'm not really sure that they're on the level that they've been the last couple of years, but they still have a lot of assets, and I'm going to tell you, this might bother some folks in this part of the country, but he's a product of this great program down in Tuscaloosa. Kirby Smart is the best coach in college football right now.
Well, here's what I think. I hate to disagree with both my guys here, but I'm disagreeing with the great Keefer, too. I think the talent level has fell off at Georgia, and the glory days are over, Kirby Smart. You've seen your last championship, dude. You've seen the last one at Georgia. Come on back to Alabama if you want another one. Hey, Tony, the LSU Tigers, are they a challenger to Alabama in the national title?
No, LSU has finished as long as Brian Kelly's their coach. They're not going to win squat. He does not have the. I still cannot believe that he left Notre Dame, because he could have stayed at Notre Dame forever. He's a good Catholic kid. They loved him there. Yeah. They liked the fact that he was going to win 10, 11 games, occasionally play for a national title. Is not good enough at LSU.
Now, you heard it right there. I agree with the great Tony T, the golden boys of sports radio and television in Birmingham, here with me in the cave, ladies and gentlemen. I agree with Tony. Listen, LSU, run Brian Kelly off. If you ever won a national championship, you're better than Brian Kelly. He's the biggest fraud and fake in college football. Now let's get down to the
They would take Edwards around back. Seriously.
Oh, you heard it. You heard him, ladies and gentlemen, in the cave. Come on back. Come on back, Coach O. Come on, or get that guy who used to eat the grass.
Coach O took his $17 million buyout, and he's not been seen since.
Les Miles, where are you?
Yeah, Les Miles, eat the grass. Bring him back. Hey, let's talk about them Tennessee Volunteers.
Yeah.
There's some Tennessee folks thinking that even after Nico, they're a challenger. What do you think, Kipper?
I'm sorry. Tennessee is going to go the other direction. They're saying, well, we got a lot of good pieces back on the defense. The defense didn't hold up toward the end of the season, and now Nico is going to be wearing the UCLA colors, and in that exchange, they end up with Joey Aguilar, who may end up being a serviceable quarterback, but he was piling up stats at Appalachian State last year. Tennessee and the SEC is no Appalachian State.
Tony, Auburn Tigers right quick. Do they have any opportunity at the SEC in the national title? I'm sorry, I put Auburn in the national. I hear you, Bear. Go ahead, Tony.
Even with Coach Kalen, I think Auburn's always going to be playing second fiddle to Alabama until they figure something out with their coaching staff.
Listen here, Coach Freeze. You've been riding that Alabama Auburn. You've been riding that Alabama win train a long time. Do something. In other words, don't do anything, because we don't even like Auburn here.
Call 1-900, get a win.
1-900, get a win, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, I'm here with the Golden Boys of sports radio and television in Birmingham. You can see us every Saturday morning right here, ladies and gentlemen. 62 days away. Are you excited? Right there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Take it away, Tony. Remember, it's just a game. Plum Sports Insane.
The SEC on ABC kicks off 10 weeks from today. We were talking about the Syracuse-Tennessee game, the Amflight kickoff in Atlanta. Of course, we have Wisconsin and Alabama the third week. Every single game is huge. Last year, we had Georgia and Clemson the first game of the year. It's going to be an unbelievable schedule. And, of course, we're butting right up against that bad boy. So check out our pregame every single Saturday right here on ABC 3340. We couldn't do it without our great sponsors, SPS, Southern Precision Staffing, one of our great sponsors, Kai Greger, of course, on our K4 Win Show. He's fantastic. Not only handicapping games, but helping out when you're handicapped at work. You need some people to fill in for your staff. Or maybe you're a welder. Maybe you're doing some skill work, and maybe people need your work. If you'd like to be on board, you can do that with Southern Precision Staffing. They do wonderful work. 205-682-2828, 205-682-2828, right here in Hoover, Alabama, serving the United States of America, where your word and your handshake still means something. And, of course, the Woodhouse Day Spa, our good friends at the Woodhouse Day Spa, Stuart Rome, man around town. He's just down in the Bahamas a few minutes ago. He called me a few minutes ago. He's leaving the Bahamas. He's going to New Orleans. He's one of the best owners of any spa anywhere in Birmingham. That is the Woodhouse Day Spa, birmingham.woodhousespas.com.
When I grow up, I want to be Mr. Rome.
I do, too. K4wins.com, K4wins.com, another fantastic site. And I mean, all you got to do is check out our numbers. A lot of people are like, are you guys really hitting 67, 68%? I'm even amazed by how well our numbers are doing. And we're just getting right, man, because in about 10 weeks, when we start hitting college football, early in the year is when you start making your cheese.
Yeah, it's great with Case and Kai and Tony. I got to give my partner some big props. He said here first on this show, the key to this NBA Finals is the Indiana Pacers and the number 110. Mm-hmm. You talked about that, how their record is overwhelmingly good if they score more than 110. And not so good if they are under. And this series has been all around the 110. The first game was 111.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's right. I mean, it's right there at 110.
And the most recent game, they scored 109 and lost. So it's information like that. It's Case's insight from Las Vegas. Kai has been around the gaming business for a long time and has great expertise. We are a dream team on that program.
We really are. Let me just say this, too, because the NBA playoffs were a prime example because you got 7 games, and a lot of times you got back-to-back games because the home and away.
Yep.
And so if a team's 6 and 222 and the next night they're 6.5 and 223, you've already seen what happened the night before. Is it safe to make the same bet that you made the night before if you win? Not necessarily, because there's a feel for it. There's obviously injuries. The Halliburton injury was big in that, so a lot of different things. Check out K4wins.com. K4wins.com and do it now.
Hey, it's Case Keefer back again for another edition of the Vegas Heaters. I'm a longtime sports bettor and sports betting writer for Greenspun Media Group, which includes the Las Vegas Sun and Las Vegas Weekly, as well as the assistant sports editor for those publications. Now, unfortunately, this week on the segment, for the first time in, I believe, a month or at least 3 weeks, coming to you off of a losing week. Yeah, last week did not go as planned, especially in golf, where we had been building our U.S. Open outright portfolio, and I just got to own it. We whiffed on that one. Did not have a good read on what was going to happen at Oakmont. I do think the course was so tough, and especially the conditions, that it did make it pretty unpredictable. But hey, in sports betting, that's going to happen from time to time. There's a lot of scam decappers, I like to call them out there. The number one tell, if you hear a guy saying they win every day, every week, every event, that just doesn't happen. Betting golf has changed my life. It's been a huge part of the last about 5 years. I believe in my process. I think that's the number one thing about, not only sports betting, but just about everything. You got to get to a point where you not only enjoy the process even more than the results when you hit a big bet like we had done. I think we hit 4 out of the last 5 golf majors through the Masters earlier this year. And the one caveat, the one where we didn't hit, was when Rory McIlroy completely choked that lead in the 2024 U.S. Open, kept missing the short putts, and let Bryson DeChambeau in the back door. That was an amazing run. It probably wasn't going to last, but I feel good about the bets I made going into the U.S. Open. I think we beat the market, beat the close in every single play I gave out on the show. You give me that every time, eventually it's going to work out. I'm probably going to be on the same cast of characters going into the Open Championship. But let's take a break from that this week, because I got to live up to some promises. Last week on the show, I said I had been doing a lot of football stuff, and I was ready to share some of it. I know the rest of the guys are talking about football on the show, so I thought we should give the people what they want. I'm going to clue you in on some college football bets I have made so far this year. Now, to be honest, I've made a little bit fewer future bets than I think I typically would about this time of year. I haven't towed into any win totals, not even most of the conference futures, which I think is one of my specialties, one of the things I do both. However, the two biggest conferences, I do have futures, and on both of those teams, I also have them to win the national championship. So there are two teams that I am really basing my whole futures portfolio around. Now, the prices I got were a little bit better. I started betting these like 2 months ago, but I still think, especially for one, there are some value out there. So I thought I would share those two teams today. Slight spoiler, I think you're going to love one, at least most of you, and I think you're going to hate the other. Let's get the bad news out of the way first. I am heavily on the Penn State Nittany Lions this year. Bet them to win the Big Ten at 5-1. I believe bet them to win the national championship at 12-1. I know both of those have gone down. It's made it, they've got so much hype that I even kind of want to pump the brakes on the Big Ten bet. They play at Ohio State in November. That's probably going to be a loss. Of course, they seem to always lose to Ohio State. I do believe they beat them once, but I think they get a little bit too much hate for that, a little bit too much criticism. What have they been favored in those games? I'll let you in on a little secret. 0. This year might be the closest, but still going to the defending champions. I think that's a tough one. Maybe now with the market having crashed, I think some other people seeing in Penn State what I've seen, it'd be better to wait for that game, maybe try to buy low there. But I just love everything this team has coming back. I think a second year with Andy Colton-Nicky's offense, who I think is one of the best offensive minds in the game. He's got his quarterback back, Drew Aller, who's got a lot of his weapons back. No Tyler Warren. And then on the defense, no Abdul Carter. That's a big deal. But they stole Ohio State's defensive coordinator, Jim Knowles, who I think people don't remember how bad the Buckeyes defense was until they brought Knowles there for Penn State to get him. I think they have one of the best 1-2 coordinator punches in the nation. And I think just that kind of reputation I mentioned where people see them as chokers has made them highly underrated. If you remember on the show last year, I was picking them time and time again. I feel like I got the last laugh. I had a future on them to go to the college football playoff semifinals. They got there, of course, choked it away to Notre Dame, but that was with Abdul Carter playing with one arm. I think you play that game 10 times, they probably win more than 5 of them. I think they get some revenge this year. I think the prices on Penn State are too long, so I'm super high on the Nittany Lions. Yes, the Buckeyes should be favored in the Big Ten, but I don't think there should be that big of a gap between them and Penn State. Now let's get to the crowd pleaser to close it out. Roll Tide Roll. I love Alabama this year. I think the way I do things, numbers-wise, if you crunch some priors data, some talent-driven stuff, some play-by-play data. I just don't see a big gap between the top 3 teams in the SEC, Texas, Georgia, and Alabama. The odds would tell you otherwise, putting Texas and Georgia, in a tier of their own. I really think Kalen DeBoer's second year in Tuscaloosa is setting up to be big. I think you got the offensive coordinator that should have been there all along back. You got really good play in the trenches. I bet Alabama, I believe 20-1 to win the national championship, 6-1 to win the SEC. I still believe you can find 18-1 and 5-1. Those are fine bets with me. So the first 2 teams I'm building around in college football this year, Alabama and Penn State. Thanks for checking out another edition of the Vegas Heaters.
Great show as always, and it's something we really pride ourselves on. We're local. We've got great brand here. You've been doing radio and television for years. I have been too, and so we'd love to bring it to you here in Birmingham on ABC 3340. You were asking me about what was it, slam or buy or sell? I was slam dunk or miss. I'll do that next week. Okay. But you got buy or sell. We were talking about Arch Manning. What else you got?
Let's look at on this very set. We had a special guest a couple weeks ago. Mr. Sam, who said he would bet his life savings that Auburn doesn't go over 7.5 wins. Of course, he's 12, almost 13 years old. I don't know how much he's amassed in his lifetime, but that was a pretty bold statement that they would not win 7.5 games. That's the Vegas line, Tony. Auburn wins more than 7.5 games, buy or sell.
I'm buying all day. I don't think it's going to be much more. I think it could be 9. I've looked at their schedule several times, and again, we have not seen the Hugh Freeze we thought we were going to see, but this is it. Much like down on South Side, there's another Trent Dilfer, another guy who's really kind of up against it. This is his 3rd year. He's got to get it done. Hugh Freeze, believe it or not, I never thought in a million years we'd be talking about Hugh Freeze being fired for not winning enough games at Auburn, because I really thought it was the right hire. But I do think he gets enough wins. And I think because he set the standard of the first couple of years, that it's sad to say that if he wins 8 games, Auburn fans may be happy with that.
Yeah, I think an 8-4 season is possible, but I was looking at their schedule. Last year they had 5 straight home games to start the year. This year they're on the road 3 of those 5 weeks, and they're at Baylor, at Texas A&M, and also at Oklahoma. Yep. I mean, if they can go 2-1 in those 3 games, they're going to be on their way.
We were talking about them going 5-0 last year, remember?
Oh, for sure, and they ended up 2-3.
They went 2-3, yeah.
So disastrous start to the year, but that's 3 pretty tough road assignments, and a lot of Auburn fans are kind of, just breezing, Baylor. But Baylor was a much improved team last year, and they still have Dave Aranda.
This is the Hugh Freeze that beat Nick Saban back-to-back, right? This is the same guy, right?
Well, that's what he's still, that's the laurels he's still living on. He's got to do something else now.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's going to be interesting. Then they've got another stretch of road games later on, games like at Arkansas, at Vanderbilt. Those are games that are, can go either way. So I think they're going to be right on that cusp. I think they're going to be 7-5 or maybe 8-4 because I don't expect them. Although Georgia's a winnable game at Jordan-Hare, and Alabama certainly has had their problems there. So
they may not get their 8th until their bowl game, but I think they'll get there.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. All right, let's go to the Alabama route. Is Ty Simpson, are you buying or selling? Ty Simpson is an upgrade at quarterback over Jalen Milroe.
You want to talk about over-unders, 9.5 the first time in 8 years that Alabama has not had a double-digit win-loss number out there in Vegas. I'm going to have to go with it just because the quarterback play seems to be so important. Milroe obviously falling off quite a bit last season, and we saw how important he was, a guy that was up for a Heisman Trophy early in the season, just totally fell out of nowhere. But, yeah, I think with all the pieces that Alabama's got, DeBoer's done a nice job at recruiting. There's another guy. Let's be honest. If you're not winning 11, 12 games at Alabama, people are not happy with what's going on. So the quarterback position is going to be a very important one for the Alabama Crimson Tide this year.
Okay, a couple other opportunities here to buy or sell. Are you buying the fact that right now Penn State is the favorite to win the national championship?
I am selling that all day long. I think as long as we got these teams called Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State is still going to be. It's funny because when we were going through all those Sandusky years, it was kind of like the BP oil spill. People were like, we'll never go back to the beach for 10 years. And they were like, Penn State will never be competitive ever again in college football. And here we are. Everyone's going to the beach and everyone's loving Penn State. I do think they will certainly be maybe the second, maybe the third best team in the Big Ten, but to win a national title,
Yeah, I think that's a stretch. James Franklin has not won a big game in his tenure there. They beat everybody. They pound on the tomato cans, but they don't beat the marquee teams. And they have road games this year at Iowa, at Indiana, and at Ohio State. So in the Big Ten, they play some of the better teams. All right, back on that same vein.
I will say, though, Penn State is the epitome of Big Ten football.
Yes.
There's nothing special about it. They win football games that people really don't care about. It's 11. We really don't give a squat about the Big Ten. It's just a pain in the ass to watch. They don't score points. They're not exciting. They don't have any good players. They're always in the mix, but Penn State is Penn State is Penn State is Big Ten.
I love it. Tony Curry giving the SEC rallying cry. Yeah. Let's go to the SEC. Brian Kelly and LSU considered the most successful team in the portal this year. People are saying this team with Nussmeier at quarterback, back again, a Heisman Trophy candidate, that they're a national championship contender. Are you buying or selling LSU is the real deal?
Selling it just like I'm selling Brian Kelly. Brian should have never left Notre Dame. We're going to get it done every single week here. We're 10 weeks away from kickoff of SEC football. College football is right around the corner, folks.
Can you tell we're excited?
We are ready to go. We are jonesing for it right here in the starting lineup.